kind of know how each other.
Well, no, I'm saying this is good video. This is excellent. This needs to be going out. We are on 3 platforms right now. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, and we're live on YouTube. Hey, y'all, this is a Black Book Fair, and we're just going to jump right into this great conversation that I want to say DJ Envy, but no, it's Envy Mckee and Leonard Clifton.
And then you can call me Queen Envy. I'm good with Queen Envy.
Queen Envy.
Envy,
what you were telling me.
We in Tuastai we say Kairu, so I would be Kairu Envy because that's
her language. She created her own language.
Mm-hmm.
So Envy, what you saying?
9 books language I added, but it's not that much.
No, there are actually 3. There are 3 languages. The Umshai monks, they have a language. The elders, that's considered the original language. And then there's Tuastai, which means tongue of stars. So that's a language. And there's enough of it. Like there are whole scenes in the book where like Kai in book 2, Kai is kind of like in this suspended state. She's kind of interdimensional. She's physically where she is, but her consciousness is somewhere else. And the elders who cannot be seen because they're so high vibrational, they come through and they're speaking this language, and Kai's daughter is translating it so it's like it's this in the scene. It seems like the way that the language is all done in that language. The only way you know what they're saying is that, Kai's daughter, who is a little girl, is translating it. So yeah, I got languages.
That's dope.
So now I need to introduce this right. Hey y'all, welcome to the Black Book Fair. We have 2 excellent authors. I dug in the crates and found Black sci-fi books, Black sci-fi writers. These authors, they actually have created their own languages. You talk about an immersive sci-fi experience with these two right here, Leonard Clifton and Envy Mckee. Let's listen in.
It's actually soul-fi. I write soul-fi. I write sci-fi. The piece is soul-fi. Spiritual.
I see corrected.
It's all right.
I'm gonna do my Lansing Warrior salute. Hell, Lansing World.
Oh, that's
everybody.
Dope.
Thank you. I appreciate the platform. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Martin. Martin the Black Man.
Thank you. That's my name on the show, Martin the Black Man. So let's get right into it. Ladies first, how we do in the Black world. So it's like, Envy, tell us about the title of your book, and then please don't leave out that part about you said you felt your inspiration. You were pregnant with the book and you had to get it out. You just had.
I didn't say all of that language, but So the story behind this trilogy is called the Stella Trilogy. That's the first 3 books. And so understand that the scope of these books is going to be between 9 and 11. I think it's 9, but somewhere in my consciousness it might be 11. And they are come out in 3s. So the first 3 are the Stellar Trilogy. The next 3 are the Stellar Universe, and the last 3 in my head are the Stellar Omniverse. And so they're set up like the chakras are set up, right? But they are all connected. So they're like a tapestry, if you will. The first 3 books that I was writing, the first book was in my bones, and I kind of I didn't think I could do it. I had a friend that was like, hey girl, I read 3 pages of my journal, and he was like, you need to write this book. I was like, I'm not writing no book. I'm writing movies. And he was like, you need to write this book. And I was like, well, I'll see. And so then I just start writing, and, he was my sounding board at that time. And the more chapters I finished and I read them to him, he's like, oh, that's interesting. And I didn't know what I was doing. And I just took the ride. And, before I knew it, I had a finished first draft, and I didn't know anything about book publishing or anything like that. So it sat. And then I had another friend who was like, you wrote a book? And I was like, yeah. And so he's like, read it to me. So we went through it, and he said, well, you should add some of this or this? And he's just from a reader's perspective. He was just like, I would be interested in, this, that, and the third. And so then I had a second draft, and then it sat some more. And then I started doing this show called the Envy Mckee Show for this. At the time, it was an internet radio station where it was the early iteration of the show that we host now, where I was exploring spiritual ideas. At the time, it was spirit science that we were exploring, and we were just getting into agape and looking at all those things. And I just started seeing the parallels in the thing I was writing and the things I was studying from a spiritual literacy perspective. I was like, oh, I'm not crazy. There are whole groups of people who are, into this thing. It's called New Thought. Oh, okay. So after that show kind of ran its course, we'll say, and that's a whole other story, Radio 101. I had time, I had an office at the time, like a creative space. And so I felt the other part of the story wanting to come out. And so, but I promised myself that I would not start writing that story until this story was published. And that was just my way of holding myself accountable. So I was looking at it and I was, what does it need to feel finished? And then, I got a download. Well, what if, and then now we have the finished story, but it's not what it appears to be. It is, and granted, I'm just going to say this, I took the journey. And so I like how you say I birthed it, because it didn't feel, maybe it did, but it felt more like I channeled it. And it felt more like there was something pouring in me that I was stopping up, and I needed to get it out because I didn't have enough room in my body to hold it and myself. So I was writing these books just so that I could have some space to breathe. And what was interesting was that book 1 turned out to be this whole other thing than I thought it was. And then book 2 turned out to be this bigger thing. And I wrote these books, mind you. The first book is like 200 pages. The second book is 400 pages, 3 something. And the third book is almost 400 pages. So they're really, really long for me. And I wrote each of them in a year. Well, I published 3 books, wrote and published 3 books in 3 years. So the first book had more time because I just kept sitting on it. But the second 2 I wrote and published in within a year time span. So that was that on that. And so now, we're going into book 4, and that's a whole different thing. And now that I understand what's happening with the series, I want to do something different with them.
Well, that's what's up. That is a journey. And I think that people don't understand, the type of journey that a sci-fi creation takes. Leonard, on that note, how did you get to Atlantis? I mean, and this whole process of a Black Atlantis.
Yeah, I want to say to all your viewers out there, thank you for allowing me to speak on your platform. And Queen Envy, thank you for sharing your truth about how your story came about. So Black Atlantis has always been in me. I've said this in many interviews, radio interviews. I was named after Leonard Nimoy. So I would say sci-fi always been in me, so to speak. He had a show that was called In Search Of. I remember as a kid, and one of the segments was In Search of Atlantis. I was probably maybe like 10 years old, remembering watching that rerun. And the show talked about, Plato, where they thought Atlantis existed. Some people thought it was in Santorini, Greece. It talked about the passing of rockets revulsion. So they knew it was somewhere maybe in Atlantic and maybe in the Caribbean. That's where they were thinking. But as a kid, I remember vividly the voiceover Leonard Nimoy saying, it was Black kids playing in the water, saying, "Oh, these are descendants of Atlantis." Still, fast forward as my life goes on, I was going to college. I grew up in Oxnard, California, went to school in Santa Barbara. And my first acting gig was, anything in Hollywood, was Tupac Temptations music video. And after that, I did Steven Spielberg's Amistad. So I was in that movie. And that really taught me about the Middle Passage. So it has a little bit of influence of Spielberg with Debbie Allen. She made that movie happen. And with the tribal, it has a tribal like warrior drums and dance and that type of thing. So fast forward after all of that, from the acting experience, I read a lot of books. I quit college, thought I was going to be Denzel, and I fell in becoming
You are Denzel.
I fell in becoming a broker. Thank you, Queen. So one day, I have a lot of, movies, DVDs like Twilight, Harry Potter, Hunger Games. I didn't even think about it because I would just have movies. If you're dating someone, you know what kind of movies they like. I just have like, boom, just pop that in. And one day Twilight was on, I think it was on HBO. And I was like, you know what? I don't see any black or multicultural black protagonist characters in Harry Potter, Twilight, Hunger Games, books or films from my perspective. So I said, I'm going to make one up. And as I thought about it, Atlantis, like I said, had always been with me. And literally when I started to focus on it, it was like a floodgate of all this information, download, channeling, whatever you want to call it. It just came to me, just like you were saying, Queen Envy, like you gave birth. And I heard many people spoke on this, even Anne Rice, which is a funny story. I was telling you, Martin, about her book signing. So when the book came out, I had a publisher in New York. She was an editor interested in it, but they didn't have any black sci-fi authors, even books. So when they let her go, I said, you know what, I'm going to self-publish it. And it was 3 books in one. I was writing 18 to 22 hours a day for 6 months, working from home. And literally, I was exhausted. I would try to go to the gym just to get away my mindset from what I'm thinking, but still things are coming to me. I'm like, I got to get back home and add these elements in. So the book has elements of everything from Native American tribes, of Atlantean, white, Greek gods. So it's a love story. The synopsis is a book of the entire series is Alan King is a black teenager living in a blue-collar family in Miami, Florida. Alan comes across a magical crystal necklace that gives him the powers of telepathy, teleportation, and he has the abilities to speak to sea animals. Alan finds out he's an alien hybrid prince from the lost city of Atlantis. And once he connects with his Atlantean ancestors' ghosts, he must prove to them that he's worthy to become king. So now Alan goes on this epic journey, proving himself to his ancestors' ghosts as he's trying to show that he's worthy to be king. He's still trying to live a mortal life in a supernatural world he's now exposed to. Some of the supernatural forces, the beings know who he is, and they're trying to kill him so they can rule Atlantis in the world. So that's the synopsis of the entire book series. So when I had my book signing at the Grove, Barnes & Noble, I was the first they gave a book signing for Black History Month.
Can you explain where the Grove is at and what was significant?
It's in Los Angeles. It's a huge venue. Literally, the Grove, it looks like Disneyland for adults. It has all these shops, Nordstroms. It has everything, movie theaters. So my mentor, his name is Reginald Rutherford. He was friends with Marvin Gaye. He was one of the co-founders. He worked with Don Cornelius, Soul Train. They co-founded. They created the Lady of Soul Awards, Soul Train Awards. He promoted for Prince, Michael Jackson. So he was a producer on Extra. He was Mario Lopez's boss, and my good friend Ron Lee. When I was telling him, hey man, I wrote this book. I'm gonna have this book signed. It's like, well, that's the man you need to talk to. And this is kind of funny how the universe works. He died on my birthday, so rest in peace, Reginald. He came to my book signing on my birthday. My first book signing. You see this banner for this book was on March 10th. So after I had the book signing at the Grove, he said, let me get back to that part. So when I had my book signing, like I told you, I was named after Leonard Nimoy. So William Shatner had a book signing the day before me about his 50-year relationship with Leonard Nimoy. So his banner next to my banner, Leonard, the hair stood at the back of my neck. And wow. I was saying, universe, God, what are you saying to me? You're speaking to me. So when I had my book signing the following day, it was very successful. The day after that was Frank Miller's 30th anniversary of The Dark Knight Returns, and Stan Lee was there. So I'm in the middle of all these iconic people.
Yo, Stan Lee.
Okay. Yeah. And I missed that one because I was still on the natural high of my book signing. I was like, Stan Lee was there, but just the fact that he was there, and I'm in the middle of all these iconic people. So that was
you
a
had
huge
your book signing at one of the it was one of the
it's Barnes & Noble.
What are they called? Oh, Barnes & Noble. Okay.
Yeah, Barnes & Noble event. Yeah. I have
Well, you were in LA, so LA is different. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, you have all these famous people in Barnes and Noble up the street. It'd be like Jim Bob and them. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, I live in LA, so I don't even think about it. Working with Spielberg, you know what I mean? I was in Bring It On.
Right. And he's named after Leonard Nimoy. We know about energy with energy. So I mean, he was born. He was birthed to
I'm
do
just
that.
saying, like, I thought he was at a conference or a convention or something. I was like, wow, that's amazing. And he's like, no, it's just a regular Barnes and Noble. And I'm saying that up the street from me, it wouldn't be nobody like that there.
It'd be a professor from Penn University.
Right. Maybe not even them. That sounds a little too fancy.
Wow. See, yeah, the education I have is street education and just the spiritual education that I received from my grandparents on the Native American side. And even with that, as we talked before with Sophia Stewart, I connected with her. She said a certain thing on one of the forums on Clubhouse that the removement of the veil. And I was like, whoa, she literally opened my third eye, because I remember that saying for my great grandmother. That actually opens you up to the spiritual realm. I won't get all into that. That's when I lived in Texas. I grew up in a rural area. There's no electronics, telephone poles, EMFs, all that stuff. But I was still able to download all the information I wanted from Lance. I just tapped in and it came to me. So after that, I did Comic-Con. And that's when my mentor said, okay, you need to create the characters how you perceive it in the book. I'm like, all right, how am I going to do that? Never done that before either. Comic-Con in San Diego is the mecca of all Comic-Cons. So when I did that, the first one is 2016, and people were like, who are you? And they knew what to say. I'm Alan King, the last prince of Atlantis. I'm the Greek goddess Athena. And I'm literally in a left shark costume. So I sewed my book cover on it. And it was Katy Perry's theme. And when people went crazy over that, I was like, wow, I know I have something. And this is another thing. I was always a step ahead of
characters with you to the Comic-Con, like you said.
Y'all had to. They said he had to.
Models dressed as the characters from my book.
Okay, that's sexy.
Yeah. So, but get this: 2019, the last Comic-Con, I never do it. I decided to go as King Leon. I end up out of 500,000 people. LA Weekly featured me.
Look at that.
So it's real, it's tangible. So that was another sign. It's tangible. That's the last Comic-Con because the pandemic hit 2020. So there's a convention. So now the convention center that housed the homeless, that was 2018.
Okay. That's
dope. So to get back to all these things, I hired someone from Breaking Bad to edit the original book. 3 books in one. I did market research through Goodreads. People read the book because I was trying to cater to Black kids and the Latino kids. The majority of people reading the book were white. That's like, if you change the slang, some of the hip hop lingo, you're going to have a Harry Potter on your hands. So I thought about it. I changed some of the grammar to, regular English. And when I did that, you know what I'm saying? I hired this lady from Breaking Bad. And when she did, I said, it's time for me to travel around the world like the characters in the book. So I'm adding a little bit more information in it. So if someone knows a certain street or a location, they're like, oh, that actually exists. So I went to, just like in the book, when Alan teleports from Miami to Australia, he meets the Greek goddess Athena, and she takes him to her compound, and she tells him about his whole origin, where he comes from. So after I did all that, I went to Greece, Santorini, Athens for the Greek gods. Then after that, I went to South Africa because the character's part Zulu in Alien. So that's where the Atlantean bloodline was created.
Did you see what Leonard did just now, though, Envy? It's something that you do. I didn't notice. No, he said, because the character is Zulu and Alien. And he did his hair like this, Zulu and Alien. Like motherfucker.
Yeah, right.
I created
and what? Per my last email.
And every week when I tell Amy said something about my book, is like, and Duistai, the language that's in the book. And it's like, I didn't notice
when you're building worlds and you're building whole reality, like whole new realities, you have to stand in that truth, in that you know what I'm saying? Like there can be no room for, you know what I'm saying? Because people be like, that's not real. And you'd be like, to you?
Yeah.
It exists in this.
I was like, to you.
Just like what you know, the things that I've known about Atlantis. People are just finding out. Like my Atlantis is a pyramid in a Bermuda Triangle.
Woo,
And
woo,
some people
and
said
I'm
they
just
discovered.
studying that. And Agartha, I'm discussing the inner worlds, and these are things that I was really like looking at before, and but it keeps coming up. All of these connections between Atlantis and Agartha, the world within this world, and all this stuff. And I'm just thinking, and all the ways that you can get in from the Great Pyramid, from the Bermuda Triangle, from all. Mount Shasta stuff, all these different places.
Exactly. See, all those things you're talking about, I didn't even know research-wise. I just knew. So when I wrote the book in Clubhouse, they talk about something that's in my book. That's in my book. Reptilians, gargoyles, hybrids, Native American, a lot of stuff that I downloaded and inherently knew. I did not research. I just knew it.
Yep.
If that makes sense. And now, since all these things are happening, I'm talking to producers for a movie. That's the movie pitch deck. And this photo here, it has the whole element of itself because the rainbow is a wormhole. So we think the cloud is a wormhole, and Alan can control it.
We need to take this party over to the night to our radio show. I can see you.
No, seriously.
Yeah. So it has so much. I mean, I can go on forever, but the journey has been a worldwide journey. Since that happened, the books are down at California State University, Northridge. Students learn Afrofuturism. I sent you the study guide, Martin, and the study guide blew me away. I would have a sentence. They're writing paragraphs for one sentence. And I give you an example for the hairstyle. My Atlanteans, they're ranked by their hair. So if you're bald, you're infantry warrior. If you have afro baby dreads, you're an officer. If you're a general, you have dreadlocks and you're a king. So just from that one sentence that was in the book, people will start breaking it down about how people deem Black people with natural hair working in the workplace with dreadlocks. And they just passed a law, I guess, in 2019 in California. About hairstyle, you can wear it. And then I sent the professor, Dr. Cedric Hackett, an article. Remember Zendaya? She did that in Euphoria. Right. That she had the flag with the dreadlocks with E, with the racial. Yeah.
Say that she stinks or something like that. Smell like
patchouli. She said it smelled like patchouli oil. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, all those things.
Right. So the not so microaggression.
Even that, I was just tapping in. I didn't even think about it. It just came. It just flowed. What I perceived the Atlanteans looked like. Slow things like that.
And wouldn't they though? And one of the other things that's really interesting to me is that so many of the books that I have been reading fashions them as lily white. Like just crazy there with and just
how they gonna be that white and be that close to the sun?
Just wiggity white. And then
I would say it again.
And then right. And then like really blonde hair. And I'm just like,
no, still blonde.
So
Jesus Christ blonde.
And it was annoying. It's annoying to me because for whatever reason, all the spiritual adepts that we look at, the luminaries, if we will, that we look at, they're all white men. And I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense because
this is more weight in gold, melanin, as you know.
Right. That's right.
That's right. This is not the sign of the beast, it's a sign of us.
Okay.
6 neutrons, protons, electrons.
I feel like melanin has
so much power.
And that's real. Like, so when we look at the Course in Miracles, it says there is only one thing going on in the universe at any given time, and that's love. And so anything that you're looking at is either love or a cry for love or a call for love, right? So if you look at it from that standpoint, everything that has been going on in this country, in this world, all the things that we've been reading and watching has been an attempt to strip that love from us. And it has been unsuccessful because here we still are. You know what I'm saying?
They'll never win. That's why I created this book series. And it's funny when you mentioned that.
How many in the series now? 3? There are 3 in a series?
Book 1?
Yep.
Book 2?
Yep. These are amazing.
And book 3 just came out. This is Athena. quest to save Atlantis. So when people read the first two books, they made, well, if they never read the book, they saw the book cover, they think, oh, it's a black sci-fi, but it's not. It's multicultural sci-fi, but the theme is Atlantis, Black Atlantis. It's a love story between.
Were there other Atlanteans of other ethnicities
in what
Atlantis?
In this book? In my Atlantis?
In any of them? Yeah, like was Atlantis really big?
Like you said, the research that always showed them as white is generally European.
No, but I'm asking you from your standpoint, were all the Atlanteans, because if we're the original people, just full stop. Were all the Atlanteans black, or were there Lily?
No, black. That's why I was like black.
Black.
Even wrote in the book where even that when the Atlanteans mixed with other cultures and races, when they move from 100 years to place, they're still black because this is the most dominant gene. That's in the book. But when I saw Anne Rice, I'm gonna give you a quick story I told Martin on Anne Rice. I still have not read her book. I have it. She wrote a book about Lestat, Prince of Atlantis. I literally got pissed off when I just saw the banner. Like literally, my spirit, my guardian angel, someone told me go to the Grove, grab something to eat. And I'm like, okay, I always walk by the Barnes & Noble because every time I walk by, there's serendipity. Like I have my book signing here. Leonard Nimoy, William Shatner, Stan Lee. I saw that banner and I was like, are you kidding me? You got a vampire now running Atlantis? You know, from the interview with the vampire stuff. So when I did my second Comic-Con, I had on the t-shirt, book one, I am the last Prince of Atlantis. So when I went to the book signing, literally everyone who was dressed like vampires and whatnot, I felt her power for them, but she felt my power. As soon as she saw me, she was afraid to speak. I wish I had that video of her live feed of all these people there. And when I got up, I told her that. So
there's no way, so she can have that title even though your book was published way before? Because isn't there a movie called
Lestat? I'm gonna show you the cover.
So with books, she can, yes, you can't copyright a title, but what he was able to do was show her the concept. So it's Prince Lestat and the realms of Atlantis. So it's a different type, but the impression is still, but he was able to actually by his energy and spirit and the t-shirt, he was able to verbally and emotionally express
who I am.
And
this is the funniest part.
Know that from us. Because you
had to have seen it and known. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? She saw that.
Or somebody she felt that. Of course, she signed it to me. I have not read this book. I would never read this book. I would never read it. This is when I was getting ready to go to Australia. So when she was talking about she believes in vampires, werewolves, and all those things. So when she saw me,
right
from her, when she saw me, she saw a crown.
So
on
the
my
werewolves
head.
are going to swim across Bermuda.
I don't know their story. I haven't read it. I haven't read the book, so I don't know.
Yes, and the vampires have gills, so they can be underwater. But I don't know how they're gonna get their blood inside and still not. This
is her book. This is her book.
No, we're making stuff up.
Okay, I got you. Because I haven't read it.
How the vampires and the werewolves traveled from Atlantis to here, and it must have been in the Venus spaceships.
Somehow, yeah.
Who knows? But I never read the book. But I mean, blessings to her. I think she's a credible person, and so that was another thing that validated what I've done. Even with the Aquaman, Jason Momoa, you know, the character's biracial, multicultural. So it made me think someone read my original book, 2012. But it's a totally different story. And I watched the movie. I'm like, yeah, that's not it. But this is another funny thing. Me being ahead, like I told you, I did Comic-Con. Then the next day they premiered on Batman versus Superman, what the characters from Justice League look like. So I was like, oh, this looks a little similar to my character. And I showcased it the day before at Comic-Con, the Mecca, San Diego, the same place they were at. But after, get this, when I went to Australia, I went to the Great Barrier Reef because it talks about that, it affects the climate change, all those things. When I left 2 months later, guess what they started filming? Aquaman. Close to the location I was at. So you can't make this up. If I did this, you can't make this up.
So this brings up a good segue into I think will be our final question because we've been on here for almost an hour, which is crazy.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't feel like it,
It's just flowing with envy.
What you doing later? 7:20. What you doing?
7:20 Eastern Standard. She asking what you doing, Leonard.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be here. I'm working on the audiobook. I'm meeting with producers tomorrow with my good friend Free Hester, which we put this made it on the map. He will do the wardrobe for the movie happen. So this mask here is book 2. So on inauguration day, we ended up in the LA Times. And this photo, he's worked with Stan Lee. He's like Bosco. I can't think of the brother's name who worked with Andy Warhol. He's like that. He's that talented. So
no, I'm asking you what you're doing later so that you can come on my show after this. That's what I'm asking.
I'm gonna run some errands. I gotta make some calls. So I should be able to just 7:30. It's gonna be 4:30 my time. I'll try to get and try to tap in. But I just wanted to say, for the Anna Rice, I love her. Jason Momoa, I love her. They doing their own thing. I got my own thing going. So I have no animosity towards anybody. So I hope that didn't sound like I'm an angry black man. I created this stuff before they did.
Right. You just stated facts.
He's saying that you are a trailblazer and a revolutionary. And you are the originator and everyone else. It's a copy.
Thank you. I had a discussion with that with Sophia Stewart. It's an honor.
So my question was going to be to both of you, in creating narrative landscapes that you both have created, not just a narrative like this. You actually created a wide landscape for the reader to dive into and to like find nooks and crannies
right.
and all this stuff. For someone that is just starting out, what license did you allow yourselves to do that? I know you said Envy was inside, you had to push it out. And I know Leonard said you felt the ancestors, you just knew these things existed. But in the writing process, you have your good days, you have your bad days, So what is it that allowed you to write and get everything out and create this wide, beautiful, detailed landscape? Envy, and then Leonard.
For me is, I think for me, the thing that I'm trying to do is create a world where social justice exists. So I'll look out in the world and I will see places that I feel powerless. And, whether it be the soil trading or police violence or jerk off Fox News hosts, whatever it is, like I will see what I perceive to be injustice and feeling powerless. But the one place that I am not powerless is in the worlds that I create. So in my worlds, whoever I'm writing has whatever power they need. You know what I'm saying? But I will say this though, because I write a very specific kind of sci-fi, it is not from a vibration of revenge or anything like that. I'm looking at, if I were to create an innate power in somebody, just their presence would shift things, right? They would be able to lay hands on things and it would be able to heal. They would be able to, there's always going to be a bigger message. There's always going to be a bigger thing, but I'm essentially creating a portal where justice is the only answer. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, I allow myself, I pour through what I perceive to be my powerlessness, and I infuse that with the power of possibility. And so that's how it happens. And without it, like, of course I want it to feel real, because the crux of my story is that the heroine or the hero of the story is you. So I'm not going to make it so, I don't even want to say unbelievable, but I'm stretching not only myself, but I'm stretching you, the reader, who I am telling you that this character that you're reading about is you. So, you know, you have to go on the same journey I'm going on at writing it. You have to, you know, be surprised at every corner. Yes, there's a synergy. We're doing it together. It's very never-ending story. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you're making the story as you go along, and you may not think that you would make the choices that Kai makes, but how many times do you do it in real life? And you may not think that you have the power that Kai has, but how many times have you even tried to see if you had it? So it's one of those things. And so I'm really excited to finish book 4, because I know it's taking all that we've done in the first 3 books to a whole nother level. That's why I call it soul-fi. It is sci-fi that feeds the soul, but it also shifts something in the reader as well about possibility.
That's what's up. That's dope. Leonard, Leonard just gave you a salute.
Yeah, I give you the Lantern Warrior salute on that one. Basically, I just want to inspire the world to dream bigger. This story, I wrote it passionately, like I would die for the story. Like I'm dying for, like, these are my kids. Like, you give birth to them, you nourish them, and you want to make sure you put them out into the world that they represent you, your ancestors, the goodness of who we are as Black people, as a race. So that's basically the reason why I created the story, just inspire people, but people of all color dream bigger. And my ultimate goal is, with the things we're doing, literally, as Martin, you know, with the Real Black Men Read project I have in California State University Northridge with the kids in Arusha, Tanzania, where they're learning English through the books. And this book talks a little bit about science, herbs, all this is in the book.
That's dope.
So, but my main goal is, once the franchise, the Marvel Universe, turns to a movie, video games, all that stuff, what have you, it's not even about even that and the money. I really want to help foster kids starting out here in this country, because when a lot of foster kids age out, they have nowhere to go, especially girls. They get victimized and sex trafficking, all these just really bad, horrible things. I want to have a foundation where they can go to any college they want, because the money will fund them to do that. And once they become successful, they mentor someone who is in the same position as they were in, and the foundation will pay for their college, but it just continue to raise lift our people up to do greater things, whatever they want to do. So that's my real mission, is to help kids who are in the foster care and give them a chance at life. Because a lot of really smart, brilliant kids, but even though they show they don't have a good grade point average, because they're caught up in so many different things, just trying to survive, that I want to give them the opportunity that they can slow down and be mentored and educated and become really successful, and they can help somebody else like them. So that's my main goal.
Okay.
Those are both excellent answers. And for our final question, it's a question that's been stumping authors since 2003 on MySpace. What advice would you give your 12-year-old self if you ran into yourself today?
No, we're not asking that question.
It's getting hot.
I would say about writing. It could be about writing. It could be because I want to do is I want to show young people these answers. I'm compiling a bunch of answers, and so
make your mask. I love it. Exactly. I love it. That mask is hot. I didn't even think to make a mask. He's got all his.
That's what made it in LA Times. Yeah,
that's dope. I think that I would say to my younger self, my 12-year-old self, that keep going. Nothing is what it seems. Like, everything is leading to the next thing. And so like, I can look back and see like all the things that I was just so disgusted about, that were just such, whatever, but they were leading me to here. So just keep going. And I would probably tell myself to read spiritual literacy books sooner too. Like, you can solve a lot of your issues if you would actually read the Course in Miracles right now. But I also feel like, there's a part of me that wouldn't change anything too. There's a part of me that would just allow it to just, unfold, because that's this earth is school. That's what we're here to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, what good is 12th grade material if you're in kindergarten? It's not any good. So just keep going. You know what I mean?
Yes, Leonard.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that song, that world, hold on. You know, your inner child. I would tell my 12-year-old, you're special, man. No matter what's coming at you right now, you're fighting just to, you feel like just to have a thought to say who you are and express yourself. When people try to, you know, talk you down, I'm talking about adults, and some people who are older and whatnot. I would tell that younger child that you're special. Just enjoy life. Just live in the present as you are. And I guarantee you, as you continue to go through your journey and learn and absorb things that come to you as you learn just the way of the world, you're going to change the world with just being who you are, just being natural and truth. That's it.
You're going to change the world. That's right.
Love
and
it.
We're all here to change the world. Like by changing ourselves, by up-leveling ourselves, by growing and unfolding, we do something. And I think that's why it's so important, not only for Black sci-fi authors or whatever it is, whatever weird thing that you think is weird, you have to do that. Because by us, you know, doing these things, it may not even seem like we're doing anything. It may not even seem like we're shifting anything, but something is shifting just by us showing up.
Yeah.
That's right. We have to take up space. We can't allow all of these failures of imagination, because that's what it is. It's like, it's a deep fear that I believe yes, that the technology of whiteness is about a deep fear that they are not enough. And because they don't feel like they're enough, because they're grappling with self-loathing, we can't be Black Girl Magic, and we can't be, you know, the last Prince of Atlantis, and we can't be all those things, because in their minds, it's like, well, I don't look like that, so I can't be that. And my ancestors, whatever, you know, that's not our problem. We are here to take up space, and we have to take up the space.
We're the innovators, as you know. Anything we do is always emulated, twisted, turn around. I remember seeing a meme. It was so funny. I remember, as you say that, like 2 years ago, that had like Tupac. He was like white. Like 400 years from now, this would be Tupac. you know, like a meme. And
he's just like looking at people like, come on, son.
Things constantly change, but like I said, truth would always. You can't hide truth. I learned that from Sophia too. The truth will set you free. With as far as you dig, I love other memes I've seen. The deeper you dig, the blacker you get. You know, the artifacts you find.
Right. What about cheddar from, you know, the British the British guy that they found? His name, I think they named him Cheddar. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, Martin? It was
they figured out he was Black.
Yeah, he was Black, and they were up in arms. Well, that's what it was. Your ancestors were Black. Now I want to know where the white people came from.
I want to get into the old metaphysical, like the Anunnaki and all those things. I talked to a real cool brother, Dr. Chill.
No, we need to have a conversation, sir. Like, I need to talk to you. I mean, I don't know we're there in our story. As far as my story is concerned, I know that Atlantis comes up. I know the pyramids are up. I know all of that stuff is coming up. And maybe not even Atlantis so much. It's like Agartha. Like, we're really, you know, centered on what are the mysteries of this planet right now, and exploring that. The pyramids are a big deal. Raising the vibration of this planet is a big deal. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah.
That's why I have my crystals on. I didn't have a fascination with crystals, so I started writing the book, and then finding about the frequencies of the crystals, the chakras, and just with meditation. And ever since I started doing that, I have been vibrating higher. I've spoken to people on the Clubhouse on this. You know, we hear kind of like a high pitched ringing kind of sound.
Yes.
Experiment. You're downloading. You're vibrating. You're vibrating to you're literally vibrating to a different frequency. And your
Kai is going to be reading. Kai is going to be in one scene. Kai is going to be reading The Last Prince of Atlantis. So just so you know, she's gonna be in this. She's gonna be lounging somewhere. She's gonna be reading it.
That's how we do it, y'all. The Black Book Fair. We
I'm
collaborate.
honored. The students are doing that now.
A world within a world.
Yeah.
No, I want to bring this world to life. Like I want to like create a world where people can come to. It's like it's theater of the mind, and I feel like the world that we live in right now is just one big failure of imagination. We're stuck in somebody else's hell loop. And
they're
so if that's the case,
that's why they get rid of arts in schools. That you know, it's just crazy. I'm thankful that I grew up in the era I grew up in to be who I am, because if I didn't, this wouldn't have existed. I go back to Leonard Nimoy. When I started to search up, probably like 6 months after I came back from Santorini, it tripped me. I'm like, I remember seeing as a kid, I'm watching all the depictions of where they filmed in Santorini. I'm like, I was actually there. Not even thinking about it. You know, I watched it as a kid, and then as an adult grown man, I actually have books about Atlantis and the things he talked about. I actually manifested in my own world, my own mythology I created. I have a beautiful Greek person named Iana. She's a singer for Toronto. She loves a book. She's Greek. So, you know, with the Greek mythology in it, I created my own stuff, and they respect it because I did the research.
Yeah, so, that's, dope. That's so dope. I love it. What
were you gonna say?
I wasn't gonna say nothing.
Okay. So
yeah, I'll try to get back in tonight for sure.
Yeah, we'll have our producer Eric.
Part two tonight on the Mckee Show.
It's on Skype,
7 to 10 p.m.
Yeah, I was gonna say we just need you to download Skype, but I'll give you the details, Leonard. But real quick, everybody, please promote yourself. Tell everybody where they can follow you at on Instagram. And well, not everybody. I'm saying everybody can sue you. So if you tell everybody how people can tap in social media wise, and the website to buy the Envy Mckee swag, the Starfish University, your radio show.
Starfolk.
My bad.
Starfolk University. Oh my God, was that Freudian?
No.
Because we were talking about Atlantis.
Exactly.
You can go to envymckeeshow.com. It is spelled the way it sounds, envymckeeshow.com, and all of the details are on there, or envymckee.com, either or. And tonight on WURD 900 AM 96.1 FM in Philly, you could, or Facebook Live, whatever, is the Envy Mckee Show, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Leonard Clifton, this amazing sci-fi artist, he wrote The Last Prince of Atlantis. He's going to be on at 7:20, so we're really excited to have him on. And then, of course, Reverend Jason Devion Mitchell will be on after that from Agape. So good show today. Yay.
LA, California's taking over the show today.
So, wow, it's an honor to be even part of that. So you can find me at leonardclifton.com, the IG page, Leonard Clifton Global Citizen, Atlantan fan page. But if you go on leonardclifton.com, everything is right there at the top of right, the icons. So from Facebook to Goodreads to Instagram, Twitter, everything is right there. And this online store is shoptlpa.com. So you have everything from phone covers.
I love it. That is so cute.
This is a popular item, and this is one of the #1 sellers.
Your chucks?
Yeah, that's the #1 seller. The Greek goddess Athena's. So I have have bags, a lot of things on there. And I was talking to Martin about, I'm gonna do art too. I'm gonna sign this art. I'm gonna work on that as well. So just trying to do Black excellence, just to share with the world and with your support. We can make that Marvel universe, and I can really do what I want to do, is help these foster kids with these foundations I want to create, starting here, then around the world.
But it's the Atlantis universe. It's Black Atlantis universe.
I'm gonna have to LLC that one before.
Yes, Black Atlantis universe. Yes, LLC that, boo.
King Masa. Yeah.
Well, this has been excellent. We're excited by the possibility of this collaboration, and we know part 2 will happen tonight on Word Radio. You can follow Word Radio on Forward, FOR Word on Facebook, or every place else is ON Word, so on Word. So thank you both. Congratulations for your work, and we're looking forward to both of your next books. We got some comments just came in. So the past president of the Black Librarians this is the Black Librarians for the American Library Association, has said, "Hey, Mckee, he loves your book. We have it in our library in Pittsburgh. Great author." And to you, Clifton, he says we should put your art in our virtual gallery.
Wow. So
we've been airing on Facebook, YouTube, and also LinkedIn. And I'll tag you both in the videos once they're done. All right, y'all.
Blessings. Thank you.
Have a blessed day. Envy, we'll see you. And I'll see both of you tonight.
Yeah, we'll see you tonight. So excited.